The Ebola outbreak is taking place in a far out corner of Congo. That means we are facing a situation with very little infrastructure. So when we come in an emergency situation like this, we have to set up a base, basically from scratch, from nothing. We are in the beginning of the rain season and the roads are in a terrible condition. So also we do rehabilitation of roads, which make it possible for us to go from our base to the different health centers, and also makes it possible for us to go from the base and to the different houses of suspect cases to get them with us and take them into the isolation ward. The first symptoms of Ebola are difficult to distinguish from other infectious diseases or even chronic diseases. Patients present with fever, they present with general signs of weakness, of vomiting, of muscle pains. Later on in the disease, when you have an inflammatory response, you start to develop what we call hemorrhagic signs. You can develop hemorrhagic sign, which means that you start bleeding from various parts of your body. This is in the late phase. Ebola is one of the most contagious diseases within the infectious diseases. In that way, it's very important to keep up a maximum level of protection for the people working inside the isolation ward. That means you are wearing, you're fully equipped with protection clothes, your face is covered, your whole body is covered, and we have measures of disinfection every time you touch a patient, every time you do something invasive. That means if you give an injection, we disinfect and we're fully protected. When a patient meets specific criteria, we take them inside the isolation ward and keep them under observation, take their blood samples and treat them if necessary. This particular lady is having a temperature and she has a number of symptoms. She has tiredness, fatigue, general symptoms, abdominal cramps, nausea and vomiting. What's also important is that she has a history of contact. She has a daughter who at one point was in here in the isolation ward being treated. So in that way she has a contact history, she has a fever, and she produces some of the symptoms we know that an Ebola patient could have. So in that way she fulfills the criteria for being admitted. What we do before we get the lab result is we put everybody presenting with a fever on a broad-based antibiotics and also on anti-malarial treatment. That's what we can offer a patient before we have the diagnosis. If it turns out that these patients indeed have Ebola and do not have malaria or another tropical disease or infectious disease, then we don't have a specific treatment for Ebola. So what we can do is that we can help these patients with fluid. If they're in pain, we can help them, give them something that will ease the pain. And finally, you see Ebola patients in the late stages, they can become very agitated. So we have also tranquilizers we can help them with. We have two main objectivities of the isolation ward. The first is to give the best quality of care for our patient there. The second aim of the isolation ward is to stop the transmission of the disease within the community. We have the capability of going around to the different villages and identify new cases of Ebola. With this team in action, we can bring patients in a secure way from the community inside the isolation ward.